So I took 6 weeks off, and sales actually went up because it forced me, when I just said it out loud, like I'm going to take 6 weeks off, it forced me to start delegating all my stuff. So now I have it set up in such a way I have 2 direct employees in-house that do customer service. Then I have a very small network of experts. An ad guy. I've got an ad guy that does Facebook and Google. I've got my email agency, eCommerce, which is my email and SMS. A fulfillment center that ships. An SEO, agency we use, and an inventory guy. And they're all siloed out as experts, right? So they've got very clear things. They're not on payroll, and they're very they're not fixed costs per se. They're variable costs. So I don't have a ton of overhead. But really, it was that 6 week stint where I said, holy crap, I'm not that important.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Today, we have on Tyler, Sully, Sullivan, and we're going to talk about how Tyler grew a business that he actually started in 2012 called BombTech, which has sold over $400,000 or 400,000 golf clubs, generating in excess of $20 million in revenue. And I really want to talk about how he grew to $8 million a year in revenue, but more importantly than that, retaining a life and having a life, and how he was able to work just 6 hours a week. And we'll jump into his agency and everything else. But without further ado, man, welcome officially to the show, Sully.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Great intro. Loved it.
Thanks, man. Super excited to have you. I love the background. I love that you retained a lifestyle while growing multiple businesses. I'm super excited just to jump in. So let's start by giving us a couple of minute just kind of intro and telling the audience about how you got started in this crazy entrepreneurial journey of digital marketing and e-commerce.
Yeah. So I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I had no vision of this at all. 2011 or 10, I was trying to compete in the home run derby of golf, which is World Long Drive. And I wasn't that good, but I had won a local competition. I hit a drive of 360 yards and I was in love with it. So I started actually breaking golf clubs, not on purpose, but a local club builder couldn't build them properly. So I started assembling clubs on my own, and a buddy's like, hey, can you make me one? I was like, sure. So I made him a golf club, and I made the world's worst website. It had like cartoon characters on it flexing. And then I finally sold something, and it took me like 8 months. And I sold one club, and I was on a boat. And here's my first epiphany. And it's not a yacht. It was just on a boat on Champlain. And I said, wait a second. I just made money, but wasn't working. So it wasn't related to time. I mean, obviously I put in time. And that was the first like aha moment where I'm like, I just want to do more of that, And then I was a slow learner, but I used Facebook and just started documenting my journey as I started designing a golf club with my local college where I barely graduated. University of Vermont, I joke, it took me 5 years to graduate. I was just a ski bum and played rugby and whatever else. But from there, we designed a golf club. I documented early days Facebook, had some engagement, and just was able to scale it up once ads came out. And my big epiphany there is I was working literally 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I had to, because I was fired from my day job. So that's the second epiphany. I go deeper into how I went from doing all the wrong stuff to doing what I'm doing now. But it's accidental journey, super lucky to be here, doing what I love, and now owning 2 companies.
That's awesome, man. So,
hey, real quick, before we dive into the rest of this episode, real quick, I promise my team and I would like to personally thank you, our audience, yes, you listening right now, for all the amazing support that you guys have been giving the podcast. The growth has been just crazy, and I want you to know that we're super, super appreciative to you. So we've been trying to think of something cool that we could do to give back to our audience, to give back to you guys. And I think we've come up with something that's really, really unique. It's something that's special. So here's the thing. The team here at Digital Triggers, my own little team here, has decided that we're going to give away a gift pack that includes our top of the line resources to sell SEO, right? We know that so many of you guys out there are agencies. This is going to literally give you contracts, proposals, pitches, scripts that you guys can use, outreach templates. It's a pack of assets and collateral for anybody wanting to sell SEO services or marketing services to any type of business, not just local businesses. This has been used to land eCom deals, all kinds of deals out there. So if you didn't hear that, let me make it a little more clear. Okay, our Digital Triggers family is giving you some of the best of the content and the resources that we've ever put together, absolutely free, just for listening to the podcast. Okay, all that you have to do is go to digitaltriggers.io/gift pack. And you are good to go, folks. It is that simple. We'll make sure that this page is up and ready for you guys by the time this episode airs. And with that being said, let's get back to the episode. All right, that was all right. I think that went okay.
So, fast forward to today, real quick. You said you own 2 companies. Help us understand the other company, what you guys do, and then we'll go back and kind of jump into BombTech and the journey.
Sure, yeah. So, like, again, this was another accidental, not. I just fall into these things, I guess, but you do good things for a while, things just happen, right? So during my success with BombTech, we started having articles, written about, the revenues I'm doing, the growth, and Klaviyo, who's an email marketing company, ESP, we were doing really well with revenue driven there, and they did a case study on BombTech, and I started getting messages from different e-com brands like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I always would say no. So I was like, I'm already grinding. I've got no interest to do that. But my first employee, Chris at BombTech, who was running my email, who was like the most motivated, hardworking person ever. He was working legitimately 100 hours a week on his own regard. He would ping me, I'll never forget, 2 a.m, leaving the bars. Like, bro, have you seen the conversion rate on the website tonight? And I'm like, who is this kid? He's like 22. He was running my email. We were crushing it. And I wasn't paying him a ton because I was, we're still grinding. And he says, hey, can I take on some of these potential clients and try to run their email? I go, dude, I would like nothing more than you be successful. So I said, if you want a side hustle, I'll support you in whatever you do, man. Like, let's do it. So he got 3 clients, closed them, and he like doubled or tripled their revenue in 30 days. I said, okay, you're legit. Let's partner up. So that was 3.5 years ago. We since partnered up, and he's in the business managing 7 employees. And I help him. I'm like the process mapper. I try to build systems and really do podcasts like this to get exposure for that agency. And now we have broken 7 figures. So that's our first goal with 7 employees. So we're super profitable. And now we're just trying to go from 32. We work specifically with eCom brands doing email. Most of our clients are doing between 2 and 20 million a year. And now we're just trying to go from 38 clients to our goal this year, 66, and then 150. So we're trying to scale up to 300 in the next 4 years. And it's been a very different journey from e-commerce, but a fun one,
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. Would love to pick up on that a little bit later once we talk about kind of the BombTech journey. Comparing the two is very interesting. I played with eCom. I've played with kind of the more traditional agency side. I've played in the info and publishing space, and all the benefits are very different, and the drawbacks on all of the companies for sure.
Very different beast for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Cool, man. So, where the heck did the name BombTech come from?
I remember I was like, I'm a really bad artist, but I like to like doodle stuff, and I was just drawing a golf club, and then I drew a golf club that turned into a bomb. And I just said, wouldn't it be cool if we had clubs that would bomb it deep with technology? And I just came up with BombTech and trademarked it. And it just, the first club is called the Grenade. And I just came up with it, man. I don't know. Just a lot of the stuff I just did because it was fun. I had a full-time
Mm,
job at first, and this was just a side hustle. I had no intentions of it being anything. So everything I did was coming from a place of not expecting money, not expecting income, just having fun, doing stuff that I enjoyed, and it allowed me to really hustle, dude. Because like I ended up working so much, but it never felt like work because
mm.
it's golf. It's what I was doing anyways, and it's just something I loved and learning about and growing it. So I feel like that's a big trap I see a lot of people do is they like try to get into an industry they don't know. And like I had like a short stint trying to sell something else, and I was like, it just felt like work from day one. So like I had a vision of doing skis because I'm a huge skier. I was skiing like 50, 60 days a year, just went yesterday. And that it wouldn't feel like work, So that's where I come at it. It's just like do what you love and try to monetize that. And I came at it with no monetization expectations, and it just worked out.
That's awesome. So how do you go from like jumping into it, kind of falling into it, literally having, cartoon characters on your website, drawing out a bomb, right? Having the grenade be your first like product line. I love that, by the way. How do you go from that in such like humble beginnings to selling 400,000 like golf clubs? And I know that that's a huge
Yeah,
question, but
it's
like
crazy.
what's the 80/20 there?
Yeah, it's crazy. So like, yeah, the volume of clubs still blows my mind. Like this year, we're trending to do like 400,000 just this year. So it's like we may hit a million, and it's like I used to hand assemble these clubs, man. Like in literally a big day back then, would be like 5 clubs. So it's like it's really hard for me to even like fathom what we're doing because I never had this expectation. But for me, I was fortunate that I just started putting myself on content, and it was timing. So this is 2012, so I started just making videos, really bad ones, like in my backyard where I'm hitting golf balls, and some of that content early days took off. Like I had one video where it sounds like a bomb goes off when I hit it so hard, and I boosted it for $300 in 2013, and it got 300,000 views, 10,000 comments. And what I did is I took that as an opportunity, and I commented on every comment. And this is like early days, man. So like the engagement was crazy, and like 2,000 followers or 2,000 likes was real, right? And I just started documenting what I was doing, asking advice. That's the other thing I did by accident out of necessity. I was like, what loft do you want to play? What color would you play? Like just asking questions I needed to know. And it got my audience involved in the building of it. And so when it came out, they felt like they built it because they did. And then from there, I just documented the journey, and then I used Facebook ads. When ads came out, I ran them poorly. Like it was so bad, but I knew enough that I got to our first million, right? Like 400, my first 500K was pure hustle, doing all the wrong stuff in blogs, in uh, forums at the time, just like chatting it up, sending clubs out. Then when Facebook ads really hit is when we started to scale. I got to 1.2 million solo with no employees, was working all day, every day. And then I hired an ad guy, which took me 12 ad guys. That's another story. I have a vetting process now, but we went from 1 to 4 million in 1 year. That was our first big jump. So now now we do so many things post purchase, but of all things, it was, documenting and then using the platform that was working for us at that time, which was Facebook, and just running paid traffic.
Awesome. Cool. I'm curious. Obviously, you've grown really fast. You built a crazy company. I think most people's aspirations start there. It's just about the revenue. It's just kind of about, hey, man, when I get there, I'll be happy, and that's what I need, and that's what I want. But then you get there, and you're like, shit, like this isn't what I need. This isn't what I want. I want the lifestyle too. I don't want to be getting the calls at 4 o'clock in the morning saying we got a problem. How did you tame the business? How did you grab a hold of it? Eduardo, our researcher and podcast host, was able to find that you're working in the BombTech business about 6 hours a week. Like how's that possible? And obviously it's a transition, but how's that possible?
Two big epiphanies, man, and they're 6 and 3 now. My kids really were there was like three big moments. The moment I got fired, I got fired the week before Thanksgiving, when I found out my wife was pregnant with my first kid. And that was the hustle moment where I said, I got to figure this out. Where we had debt. I had it was the most stressful year of my life, right? And I worked all day, every day, doing a lot of the wrong stuff, right? So when I started to have success and we're doing 7 figures a year, I started to hire employees, I started delegating. And when I had my second kid, I said, I'm taking 6 weeks off. So I took 6 weeks off and sales actually went up because it forced me, when I just said it out loud, like I'm going to take 6 weeks off, it forced me to start delegating all my stuff. So now I have it set up in such a way I have 2 direct employees in-house that do customer service. Then I have a small, very small network of experts, an ad guy. I've got an ad guy that does Facebook and Google. I've got my email agency, eCom Growers, which is my email and SMS, a fulfillment center that ships, an SEO, agency we use, and an inventory guy, and they're all siloed out as experts, right? So they've got very clear things. They're not on payroll, and they're very what's the word? They're not fixed costs per se. Like, so they're variable costs. So I don't have a ton of overhead, but really it was that 6 week stint where I said, holy crap, I'm not that important. And it freed me up and it allowed me to think bigger. I still work, like I still love working but I do stuff that's bigger lever, right? So like I don't work in the day-to-day stuff anymore. Like I don't reply to customers' emails, I don't take the phones, I don't ship products, I don't run the ads, I don't send the emails. So I don't really like the email for marketing, and I don't do the SEO. So I don't do any of that because I'm not that good at it, really, So I call myself the coordinator. So I've got these key people, I just coordinate them, and really, if they're doing their job and they're hitting KPIs, I don't need to be involved. To transition that, like with the agency, I'm working more on that because I'm not in it, building systems so we can do the same thing for my partner, Chris, who's in it, grinding, doing what I did at BombTech, and I've had that experience. So we're trying to do the same thing so we can scale and free him. But it was a evolution that required 2 kids, 1 job being fired from 1 job, to really say, okay, I'm not that good at this stuff. Get those people in the right place. And most of what I do is I test golf clubs. So I'm like the unofficial product tester. And that's the funnest part, man. So I do work on strategy and stuff, but it doesn't feel like work now.
No, I agree. Moving the big levers, I don't think really feels like a ton of work either. That's what I enjoy. And then you got to pull playing with golf clubs on top of it. So well done.
Exactly.
You said basically your job now is coordinator, and ultimately, you mentioned KPIs, obviously managing KPIs. So it's really about the right butts in the right seats, so to speak. You mentioned that you came up with a good ad vetting process. I'd love to hear kind of what that entails, man, because we started a new venture this year, and we went through 4 ad guys, and like that's what I do. Like this company is an ad company that runs ads for agencies for their clients, and it still took me that, right? Like, so I feel like there's always some nuggets to take away from hiring and vetting. And after 12, man, like I'm sure you got something right.
This was one of my biggest mistakes in learning. So I didn't know enough about ads to know if we're doing well or not. So I had a guy in place that, man, he was killing it for us. We had our 3 best years with him, like when we were starting to scale. And in January of like 2016, 17, I can't remember the year, I fired him based on gut of like he wasn't grinding, he wasn't working. Little did I know, looking back, we were at a 6x return on ad spend. So that was the biggest mistake. And that whole year was a total mess because I ended up going through 12 agencies and I ended up learning ads myself, dude. And I'm not like a technical smart guy, like in the weeds. So I was like taking courses, hiring coaches, like PPC coaches, and like screen share. So what I ended up doing is I hired 2 agencies, fired them because they sucked. And I said, this doesn't work. So what I did is I said, anyone that thinks they can beat me. So I ended up getting us to what was okay for us, which was a 3.5 on a return on ad spend on my own efforts. I said, I invite anyone who thinks they're legit to go head to head with me. So what I'll do, I'll pay you an hour of your time and we'll do a screen share. In my account, we'll go through exactly what you do and I'll build it. So you tell me the strategy, the whatever. You can look at my account before if you want time to prep, but you get 1 hour. I'll pay you whatever you want. I paid some guys a lot of money. I paid some guys not that much. And 12 guys later, the 12th guy came with some real knowledge, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to beat you, and here's why." And I set up an ad, and he beat me. And he's been my ad guy now for 3 years, and he kills it. So that was how I vetted. I just said, "Hey," and it's funny. Some of the guys that were pounding their chest the most, like, "I am the king of PPC and Facebook ads." They came in and they built like a campaign, and it was a complete flop. And when I said, "Hey, what happened?" They're like, "Oh, I don't know, man." Like, they couldn't even explain. So it was a lot of. That's the only way I could do it, man. So anything I do now with an expert, I do a screen share where they get paid, and hopefully it's two-part. Hopefully I find an expert, and if I don't, hopefully I learn something, or I learn what not to do. So that really was for me, and luckily I know enough now that if something happened to my current guy, I could do this process again. But at this point, I can look in and have enough knowledge. So you got to know enough to be dangerous, and then have people, put their I don't know, their money where their mouth is, I guess.
Yeah, there's no other way to say that quote, I don't think. There's not another good analogy.
Yeah.
I saw that decision. Do I say that? I don't know.
Wait for
No,
it.
I love that. I love that. I love that you use the expertise and kind of coaching session to not only teach you, but also see, can that get a better result than the current test, right? Than what's happening right now in the business. So that's fantastic. I love that idea. So this year has been nuts, obviously, for eCom. For the last 12 months or so, we had Ezra Firestone, big eCom influencer,
Nice.
on towards the beginning, first couple of months into the pandemic, and he had said that according to what he had seen with his own business and the agencies that he works with and the eCom brands, that he had saw about a 40% increase in eCom growth. And he thought that really that fast forwarded where we were about 5 years in the industry. Obviously, that's a huge shift. But I know lots of e-commerce businesses as well that wasn't the case, or they did way better than that. I'm curious, kind of what your takeaway is. How did COVID affect you? How did the pandemic affect you? And kind of what's your thought or outlook moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I feel weird because we're having more success than I ever thought possible. And because I want to celebrate with everyone, and I feel like the world is hurting, So I'm just wanting to get everyone, healthy, safe as soon as we can, because it's like, it's so hard for me not to enjoy and hang out with my buddies and, celebrate some of the wins. Because like our ecom brands, like I think 90% of our clients are all having record years, and some are having like thousands of percent growth. Like we've got some, food delivery companies that are just like hitting numbers that are just mind blowing, right? And like for my brand, golf, man, I would have been up 200% last year if I had the inventory. I kept selling out. I couldn't even keep up. So this year, we're projecting to grow to double again, or to double this year based on how quick we're up, like 80% in December, 80% in January, and we're still sold out. So it's so good for ecom. It's so good for golf. It's so good for our agency. And it's just, that's the thing. It's like you always want to start a business based on what's trending. Golf's been trending down for 25 years. I just been doing it because I loved it, and timing happened to be good. And same with ecom. It's like that was a natural thing for me to do. I had who could predict this was going to happen, So I hope we're just back to real life as soon as possible. But golf has been a true pandemic. I wouldn't say saver, but it gives you a place to go. And like last year, this time, or 2019, I'd walk to my local club and just walk on the course. Now I have to get a tee time 2 weeks in advance. So it's crazy, and I'm seeing the same thing with skiing and our clients. So it's great industries to be in. I just want to celebrate with the world in a safer and happier place, man. That's all I really want.
Yeah, for sure. We saw really big. I live in South Florida, so man, boating and any type of recreation stuff.
I bought a boat this
motorcycles, motorcycles, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, anything like that just went absolutely nuts.
Absolutely.
But yeah, crazy world. And I like what you said. I just want to be able to celebrate with everybody. Definitely a time that it feels weird to be doing well, for sure.
Exactly.
And very, very segmented or segregated as well.
Totally.
Super strange. So there's a lot of people, obviously, that have been retail, that have been very much in person selling things, and now we're wanting to make a shift to as they would say, digital and e-commerce, and have never been there before. And you come from a unique background because you were never there before either, right? Like, you kind of got in by pure happenstance and just kind of stumbled into it, fell into it. What advice would you give to somebody that's in golf right now, or in something, but in a more traditional sense, local sense, physical sense, and now is looking to make the shift into digital? What would your advice be?
I used to have these conversations like way pre-pandemic, and every time I did with someone that had like a traditional store, like my parents used to have a diner. So I'd be like, yo, let's get some emails, let's do a giveaway, let's send an email like free coffee or whatever. And they did, and like the one time they actually did it, they crushed. They were super busy. And to transition that online, it's one of those things where like if you told me in 2012 I shouldn't ship the clubs myself, I'd say you're dumb. You're wrong. So it's like I think everyone has to have their own epiphany, and this is kind of it. And I think it's probably a hard transition. I can't get back in that mindset if I'm all in person. That's all I know of how to even do that. But I think you got to go. I think the ones that pivot and really embrace it are going to win. But I feel like it's not one that they're embracing, at least from what I've seen, with zealous. They're not like, yeah, let's go all online. They still are waiting for it to come back. I don't know, because I have never had a traditional retail store, but I mean, it is what it is. It's all online, and I was all online before, so I think it's just embrace it quicker than later, and those that can adapt and move are going to win. So I mean, learn how to do email marketing, get all your current customers, send them handwritten notes, like, and say, hey man, we really appreciate you as a customer. I know you've been in the store before. We're going all online. Here's our new website. And here's a coupon or something. I don't know what that is. Or like, hey, can we get your email, and start building that list and make it. I mean, with Shopify and Klaviyo, anyone can launch a website right now, like pretty easily, which was not the case when I started. So I think doing stuff that probably takes some effort, like move slow now to move fast later. So do stuff that kind of sucks, like call every one of your customers. I mean, how many customers do you have in traditional retail? Maybe 1,000, 500, 2,000. I'd call them up like, hey, it's Steve from whatever, the store downtown. Really appreciate your past business, man. We just launched a new website. We're delivering direct to you. We're whatever. Love just to get your feedback, get your input, or tell me what you want, and have those candid conversations, and make that transition. I would do the stuff that doesn't scale to then make it scale.
Yeah, gotta hustle first. Yeah, get it working. Build some momentum. Makes perfect sense. All right, man. Earlier we hit on a topic that, now that we've kind of talked about both business models, I'd love to chat about. So you got the e-commerce business, you got the email marketing and SMS agency that was built out of your first business, which is just great. I love that. I love when you're able to spin something off like that. Keep doing it for yourself and make it a whole new profit center and new business. You were smart enough to catch on to that and really realize the benefits, which is fantastic. I think a lot of people don't. They get scared. They want to keep it all, and they kind of keep it locked up. I'm curious, when you look at your e-com business and when you look at the agency business, what are the pros and what are the cons of each? Like, what do you like best about each model? Or is there one that you would say, like, I like this for one reason?
Yeah, they're so different. I mean, the big thing is like e-commerce, BombTech is much more scalable, right? In terms of my time and effort and people. So like we can do a day where we do 120K in a day, and all it takes is an email, an SMS, and some ads, right? Whereas the agency, we got 32 clients or whatever it is. To take on 5 clients takes time and effort, right? And you need more people. So e-commerce is more scalable in terms of time, effort, and people, but it is much more difficult from cash flow. So like, yeah, we had a great year last year, but I also have $2.7 million in inventory coming. So I just sent out POs today or wires today of $500,000. Okay. So like, it's not all roses over there. Like, and luckily I've been doing it for 9 years so that we have profit and cash to invest again. So we don't have a lot of loans. We have no loans. We're debt free. But anytime you grow, like we're in a growth period, I have to invest heavy. So we're going like all in to then grow again. So whereas the agency, it's really human capital, right? So like I'm trying to take what Chris, my partner, has done so well and process map hit out of his brain, because we're still early, into systems that can scale without him. So that's been the hardest thing, is like, because I see a lot of agencies that get stuck, ourselves included, at like the 10 to 40 client range, and we're really trying to get to be the best Klaviyo agency in the world and have 300-400 clients. So we're just trying to become world class at our systems, world class at hiring, world class at training, so we can scale it up faster. So I wouldn't say that job's or that company's more rewarding, but it's more traditional. You have more people. We have 7 employees. We're going to grow to 20 and then 40 and 60. So it is a little more rewarding because we have more people, and I like that, even though it is more difficult. So it has that part of it, which is really, it's new and unique to me. So it is more fun because it's newer, I guess. But really, the cash flow there is amazing. So we run really high margins because we run lean. Same concept with eCom, but with people. But the cash is all there up front, so we don't have to pay for inventory. So it's a much more like easier business to enter. Like starting a golf club business is kind of insane. Like I cashed in my 401k. I was doing millions or doing $1 million and had no money because I had to go. I didn't realize what cash flow was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm rich. I did $1 million. And I'm like, wait a second, I'm broke, man. I had to go buy all new product, and we're growing. So it's very different. Both are good in their own respective ways, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. I'm excited about the opportunity to try to scale the agency and make that such a dialed-in system that we can get, because there's agencies out there that have 2,000 clients. And that's what we'd like to do. And it's cash flow wise, it has freed me up a little bit mentally and emotionally with only having one company. Because when I'm all in BombTech, it's like every decision's so pivotal. I can't screw this up or do that. Where now I have 2 incomes, which I never thought I'd ever have. It just frees me up to make better decisions in each company because they both drive profit and cash. Where I can say, okay, I'm not going to die, or I'm not going to starve. Rather, if we don't hit this number this month, it's just, let's really take a step back and do what's good for the people, do what's good for the customers, and do what's good for the business. And that's been the most freeing piece of it. I don't know BombTech wise what the future holds. I mean, because every time you grow, if I grow again, do I want to go and spend $7 million on inventory to get to the next level? I don't know if I'm that guy. So we'll see it, because every year I was kind of doing the same numbers and keeping it lean, and now we're really growing. So I'm like, it's a different battle, man. So it's both are great.
I love that. You did a really good job, I think, unpacking both and what you like and your concerns or the challenges are. I think that the barrier to entry in the agency model is amazing. Like there isn't one. Right. To get some really good monthly recurring revenue too is not that hard. A lot easier, and the cash flow that it spits off spoils a lot of people, I feel like, in this space. And so I feel like they don't have to go through a lot of the challenges that at least traditional e-commerce companies do. And they don't have to really dial in all their numbers like an eCom company does. I've played in eCom a couple of times in different ways, and man, the math to scale is scary. And one little tweak right or left in cash flow, like you said, doing $1 million a year and you're broke. Like, and not just you, but any e-com business. It's pretty crazy to compare and contrast the models. Not to say anybody shouldn't do e-com, but it's a completely different business at the end of the day.
Very true, man. It's a different beast, and that's why it never felt like work. I didn't have goals in terms of doing it, and it's paid me well, and I'm so lucky to have the customers and clients we have. And yeah, you got to have an appetite for risk, in terms of cash, man, and it will never go away if you're growing. So that's the thing. Anytime you grow, you need cash, man. So it's like it's a very different model. So I'm really excited to. I would like it ideally, and this may not be possible. I think we can do it. I should say we can. Can I surpass my eCom business with the agency? Because that would be like such a different level. But it does take different systems and stuff. And yeah, it is. We're working on our books to be dialed in, to have monthly P&Ls on every single piece of every business, so we can make better decisions. That's the next level, is like just get to a point where it's so dialed that we can clearly say, hey, let's invest in marketing 6% more, whatever. Yeah. But right now, I enjoy the building and growing, and I get entrepreneurial ADHD when stuff is like running well and smooth. So I'm like, dude, I got to do something. Let me go to work,
No, I get it for sure. Man, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you being here. This has been a great interview. I love comparing the both sides of the coin, both business models, and talking about how you got here. Such a great story, man. I want to wrap it up and instead of asking you, I feel like every podcast at the end, they're like, tell us, your favorite 3 books. I like that question. I read some books, don't get me wrong. But I like to ask it a little bit of a different way. So I ask, what's the one book that's made the biggest impact on the way that you do business, the way that you look at business, the way that you approach it, maybe the way that your businesses look or are structured? What's the one book that has made the biggest impact?
Glad you asked me now. I hadn't read a book in I think my whole life until this last year. Swear to God, now I bang a book like 1 or 2 a month. The biggest one was E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It's like I already did that stuff in my eCom brand, but now what I do is I take books like that, I read them, and then I give them to my partner because he's stuck in it. So right now that book has had, just even though it's stuff we're already kind of doing, high level, get out of your business, and it's just a reminder. So that book's just been awesome.
You just gave me a little takeaway there, man. That was really good. You gave me a writer downer. The giving it to my partner, right, is key. One of my business partners, we exchange books all the time. But one of my business partners, we don't. We never talk about that. And so that was a nice little takeaway. Definitely love that. And Michael Gerber's stuff is good. Working through being the technician, then becoming the manager, then kind of moving on to being over top of it, as an investor. Or some type of more senior role like that. So, man, Sully, this has been great. Thank you so much, man. We'll link you guys up in the show notes, both of your brands. Appreciate you coming on, man. It was a pleasure to connect with you.
Glad to be here, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.